Thank you for joining us for Turn the Page with Paige, brought to you by Southwestern Illinois College. I'm your host, Paige Holsey. From her childhood in East St. Louis to her teenage years going to school in South County, poet and author Mon Trice has been a storyteller. And with her latest children's book, she is reaching even more readers throughout the country. Scoop on Inventors follows a boy and his dad preparing for mom's big birthday party, and all along the way learning about everyday items that African Americans created and invented. Author Mon Trice joins us today in studio. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Paige.
So where did the idea for this book come from? Why did you want to write it?
Well, so I try to grasp either from my childhood or my son's childhood. And at the particular time, my son was grappling with the fact that a lot of the history that me and my husband had taught him about his culture wasn't being portrayed in school. So I decided to take that idea and turn it into a children's story for a book blitz that was being run by Room to Read.
And that really has helped it launch across the country, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. So they had an open call for 10 authors across the country, and I was one of them, and they put us with an illustrator, an art director, and an editor, and they're like, here's the idea. You know, we picked one of the two that you submitted. You guys have 30 days to pull together a book. So it was exhilarating, exciting, and just a little bit of pressure. But yeah, it was really fun to see what we all came up with in the end.
A really interesting opportunity, but I do appreciate the accelerated timeline, because sometimes these books take years to make.
Oh, sure. The traditional publishing timeline is at least 2 to 3 years, mostly 3.
So what a fun challenge to do it in 30 days.
And then the players usually don't meet each other. The author doesn't meet the illustrator, doesn't meet the art director, but we were all in it together and under a timeline. It was a lot of fun.
So tell me more about the story itself. What happens inside the pages?
So it's the mom's birthday, and the son comes home and he's a little frustrated from his history class. He's like, no one that looks like me was even talked about in class. They don't talk about anything that I've learned. So as they prepare for the mom's birthday party, every single thing that they use is highlighted in the book because it's invented by an African American. And within the pages, there's also the actual patents from those inventions, from Alice Parker and the furnace to the mop and the ice cream scoop. There's like multiple different items in the story. So it's twofold and it runs parallel. It's a really fun book.
When I read it for the first time, that's what I appreciated. I had no idea what the origins of the ice cream scoop were. I enjoyed learning from it as an adult. And there is a lot for children to learn, but it's also, I think you care a lot about how they walk away feeling too.
Absolutely. So you feel seen and not erased. You know, there's a lot, communication, as you know, a large part of that is nonverbal. So when you're constantly given books and none of the characters look like you, that's damaging. So what I wanted children to feel, and what we've learned that they do feel, is they feel seen, they feel whole, they feel empowered.
And that's wonderful that this book is reaching across the country now. It is just one, though, in your line. I want to go back to the very beginning. Tell me about Changing Seasons. I mean, that came out more than a decade ago, right?
2010. So Changing Season is a book about a little girl named Tanisha, and it's her first day of school, and she has to decide which season is her favorite and why. And before she's called on, the reader gets a front row seat inside her thoughts, and you go through each season, and each season is sprinkled with African American culture as well as her extended family. So you get to meet family members, learn about African American culture, and of course the seasons. And in the end, like any young person, she constantly changes her mind about which season is her favorite. So it's fun and educational.
Hey, as an adult, I do that too. And right now, winter is not my favorite.
And Kirkwood School District actually recently adopted that book into their curriculum.
Congratulations.
So that was exciting, yes.
Yeah, again, another fantastic way that your books, your lessons are reaching so many children out there.
I had no idea.
And another one that I know has done that is Cannon's Crash Course, because that's been in story walks all across St. Louis, right?
Yeah, so that was chosen as one of the millionth books for one of our organization's Ready Readers. They chose Cannon's Crash Course. That was a really nice surprise. And they had story walks in 26 locations across the metro area. Another fun fact about Cannon's Crash Course, the illustrator is also local. Kababi Bayak is one of the favorites for, you'll see murals at hospitals and museums. in which he created, but he was also the illustrator of Cannon's Crash Course because that particular story ran parallel with a project he was working called 365 Days of Dad. And the book, which it wasn't designed this way, but it's all male influence and it's all male characters. It just turned out that way. So he fell in love with the storyline and decided, yeah, I'll take the job, I'll do it.
This is one of the reasons I love this series, because you uncover so much in the story behind the story.
Oh, there's a lot of story behind the
There's
story.
a lot of story behind the story.
Absolutely.
Why do you keep writing these stories? What is it that has driven you to do so for more than a decade?
Oh gosh. Well, I like to write, period. So at the time, I was a columnist for a Midwest paper called Pure News, and my son was an emerging reader, and I couldn't find any books that also reflected him. We did a lot of reading, and he loved Junie B. Jones, but it was my husband that pointed out he needs more diversity in his library, which I agreed, and then we couldn't find anything. We found maybe 2 or 3 books, but it was really slim pickings. So it was my sister that dared me. She said, Toni Morrison said, if there is a book that you want to read that hasn't been written yet, it's your responsibility to write it. And I thought, what, girl? But it stuck with me, and so I started writing, and I've been writing ever since. But it's a great outlet for me, and it's, as a creator, it just feels really good to take an idea and put it to paper and then watch it flourish and market.
So then I know you're not done. What else
Oh,
do you have in the
absolutely not.
works?
So right now I'm working on an anthology of women's stories, actually, just to highlight, but also entertain like the different barriers that we go through on multiple levels, and it'll be cross-generational too.
Is this also a children's book?
That one is not, but there is
Okay.
a children's book that's more centered around the holidays. So I can't really talk a whole lot about that, but it's
Okay.
coming. It's coming.
You have to promise to loop me in when you're allowed to say
I
more.
will definitely loop you in when I
wanna
can
see
say
them.
more.
Well, I look forward to seeing them in my hands one of these days and sharing them with our viewers. Can you share a recommendation for a children's book from another author that you enjoy?
Oh, sure. So local author, Aja Starr, Rock What You Got. I really like it. It's rhythmic and it's all encompassing. It embraces different childhood experiences, and it's on the poetic side, but I really like it. It's kind of a call and response book, and it gets the crowd moving and lively. I could see that in a reading in like the 1st grade or 2nd grade.
Yeah, it's very interactive, and I hope some of our
is very
viewers
interactive.
recognize that name. We have had that author as a guest here on Turn the Page with Paige, so you can go back and watch that full episode too and learn a lot more about that book. But I love a local author supporting another local author.
Absolutely.
Great shout out there.
Absolutely.
Mon Trice, congratulations on your great line, and I look forward to your book still to come. Thank you for joining us today here on Turn the Page with Paige.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us at home as well. We hope to see you back here again soon.